The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.
Welcome to How to Money with Kole and Kole.
I'm Kole.
And I'm Kole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation on investing, retirement, and everything in between.
At Full Swing Financial Planning, we're here to empower you to take control of your plan, your way, for your financial future.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Kole and Kole. And I got both Koles today. What's up, guys?
That's an anomaly
It's been
lately.
a while, yeah.
Yeah, we've got the gang's all here.
Band's back together.
Yeah. And it feels like golf weather, doesn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Are you guys itching?
Like 70 degrees today.
It was so nice yesterday, too.
It's what, March 11th?
March 11th. We're recording March 11th.
If you took the 2-week snapshot of the weather, you'd be like, that is Iowa in a nutshell in the spring.
Power out last week.
We got 6 inches of snow and a blizzard, and we got 75 on this Friday. It's supposed to be 75 and 45-mile-an-hour winds and tornado activity potentially.
Oh,
so
is it?
It's like the most erratic weather that you could get. So
Yeah, we have really erratic weather. We don't have the catastrophes that other people have, which is
Knock
okay.
on wood.
But yeah, we have
Don't jinx us.
we have like 50-degree swings in 2 days. It's kind of nuts.
Our power was out last week, and now we're outside playing, doing chalk and bike rides. So
Right.
it's crazy.
it was daylight savings on Sunday, which
it's
is
really
not,
messing me up.
I know it messes you up, but it's so nice to go like 7:30 and it's still light outside. I was grilling last night.
Yeah, it's nice out. except
Still
I like
snow
my
on the
bedtime.
ground. I'm grilling. It's like so weird. Wild.
All right, well, we're really excited. We're going to take the first part of this episode and announce our event. So it's March 11th, but the event is April 13th, and we are doing the first Full Swing Forward 5K. Woo! This is where you guys clap.
Yep, the clapper.
Clap, 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 clap. What we are doing is a run or a walk, an adult's 5K, and a children's 1K. And all the proceeds we raise are going to go to Children's Cancer Connection out of Johnston, Iowa, and the Junior Golf Academy.
Out of Fort Dodge. Fort
Out of
Dodge
Fort
Junior
Dodge?
Golf Academy.
So
Yep, and it's at the Country Club in Fort Dodge. Registration on April 13th is at 8 a.m. The 1K begins at 9 a.m. with the adult 5K to follow. So
and people can sign up online. You follow us on social media, all the platforms, or you can, obviously we would prefer people to sign up early, but
yes,
you can show up the day of too. We're not going to turn anyone down.
Nope, because all proceeds go to great causes. Me and Kole, what I love about Kole and Kole is we're always thinking, okay, what can we do to help the community? And this has kind of been on our radar of like an event or something we can do annually. And one day we were sitting there and we were talking about golf or whatever. And I was like, well, why don't we do a 5K at the golf course? And it's just full circle come to fruition. And
in the last year or so, we've asked the staff quite a bit of like, we wanted to collaborate on something as a team of like, how can we give back or find a cause, and I think, this came up or, it was, I'll give you credit. The 5K was your idea, but we definitely had a lot of things in the works that we wanted to give.
We've all been bringing up philanthropic things that we wanted to do, but nothing really landed.
Yeah.
We couldn't like really narrow in on something, and then this was like, okay, well, we could do this. We could put this together and do this ourselves, and get people to hopefully register online. And then also, I mean, obviously, we have kids that don't have cancer, but we want the the connection to be with Children's Cancer, and then the Golf Association that both me and Kole are on the board. So we're just really excited to raise the money for those two organizations and get things going on this event.
We're going to have Abby on from Children's Cancer Connection on here in a little bit to talk a lot about their organization and really how we got back to the what causes to give to is really we all have young children in the office, and we thought that's really where we wanted the focus to be. And then Kole and I recently, you mentioned that we were on the board of the Junior Golf Association, and that was like, hey, this is a great way tied to the golf course. But then we're like, well, what's the other? We want something
to go otherwise.
Other impact, and I think we've all either directly or indirectly had someone that they know or not with some form of childhood cancer diagnosis or someone that's been impacted. So we started looking at local organizations.
And shout out to Emily. She found this one.
Yeah.
And I think impact to the vulnerable and the young is just something we were all passionate about. And then, we're really excited about it. And we have some really good sponsors that help. So I want to give a shout out to Baker Electric, Brady Hay Mortgage Team, Brown Shoe Fit, Clay & Associates, Fort Dodge Ford, Lincoln Toyota, Function First Spine and Sport, Hendricks Law Office, Rejuvenate Health and Wellness, Stella's Coffee Bar, and finally but not least, Superior Siding. So those, we've partnered with those companies. They've done a donation to help with cost of the race, the shirts, all the thing, registration. So we're just excited to impact children, our community, and also partner with some really good people.
We live in an outstanding community.
Yes.
And I think me and Cole talked about this yesterday, is those sponsors, I was 100% everyone I called.
Everyone we asked.
Yes.
Everyone we asked
No
said
hesitation.
yes. And we didn't want to have 50 sponsors.
Yep.
Okay. So we did pinpoint who we were going to ask, but it's the community that we live in, just they're just willing to step up and do things for a cause that you have. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
It's been fun to see our team, kind of rally behind it too a little bit. Everyone's taken a piece of it, and whether it's inviting people or getting people there. But I'm really excited. It'll be a great thing for the community too. Just like outside, everyone, for a common cause, and just, hopefully some Sunday morning, just pray for good weather, right? It's
Iowa in April.
Yeah, pray for good weather, and everything will go off, with a bang.
And if you can't make it, you can still donate to the cause. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Look at the details online. You can swing by the office and sign up there if you want to, but sign up online if you can. And it's April 13th. We're starting at 9 a.m. with the kids run.
Yep, 8 a.m. registration. So what we're going to have is a pre-registration that week if you want to come get your race bib and stuff. Well, Thursday, Friday, you can come to the office and get it, or Sunday morning at 8 a.m. check-in, and then 9 a.m. kids with the adults to follow. And then we'll also have a family there from Children's Cancer Connection talking about their experience there. So it's just going to be a simple but fun day. And I think there's something about people getting together and being active, and also thinking about kids that possibly maybe can't be active right now.
And I'm sure we'll forget someone, but we do always want to thank all the people that have been involved. I know there's a few that's helped us with the race specifically. Thanks to the Fort Dodge Country Club for allowing us to, their board members to allow us to be able to go out there and use the space for a very short period of time. But I'm very grateful. And like I said, it's been graciously received so far.
Yeah. Follow the podcast, share this podcast, sign up, bring a friend, bring a family. Cole Peterson will be at the start line, buzzing you on, cheering you on. So we're excited. Okay, now we're joined by Abby Coppola with Children's Cancer Connection in Iowa. We're super excited that you guys are a part of our event. We're so excited that we can help donate to your guys' cause. And Abby, you just introduce us and tell us what is Children's Cancer Connection of Iowa.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. My name's Abby Coppola. I'm the events manager for Children's Cancer Connection. I've been with CCC for coming up on a year and a half now. My role is to kind of just manage all of the logistics that go into our internal and third-party fundraising events, as well as helping out with a lot of our behind the scenes development processes. But Children's Cancer Connection is a nonprofit organization that was founded back in 1988. And we were originally named the Heart Connection, but we were renamed to Children's Cancer Connection in 2010. We are located in Johnston, Iowa, and we are dedicated to supporting families in Iowa that have been affected and impacted by a pediatric cancer diagnosis.
Well, that's amazing, because when we were looking for someone to donate through for this event, we just knew we wanted it to focus on children. I feel like as a group, that means a lot to us. We all have young children. We have friends with young children. Cole has a good friend that has experience with this. So how do donations that you guys will receive through these type of events directly impact the families that you help?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a 501c3. So we do not have any national affiliation, nor do we get any federal or state funding. So it's all through donor donations, basically. And all of our support programs that we offer to our families are completely free of charge. So we do rely heavily on our donors and all of our fundraising events and third-party events and all that kind of jazz.
We were, as Baileigh said, we were looking for different organizations, and I have someone personally, in my really close to me that has been a benefactor from your guys' organization. So they were one that put you guys at the top of the list. But I would like to hear, like from your end, or your organization's end, what are some of the biggest challenges families face when they're dealing with child diagnosis, or and how does your organization help in those causes or those different scenarios?
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely say the biggest thing, in my opinion, that our families face is genuinely just the uncertainty that comes with a cancer diagnosis. You could be told that it's a very small and treatable, type of cancer, but in the reality, you really never truly know what the future holds for these families. So I guess to kind of turn it back to kind of what I think is my favorite part about how we, help our families is that we get to be their happy place. A lot of the times they're in the hospitals going through treatment, and they don't really get to feel that sense of normalcy that, a normal kid should get to feel. So we get to be that happy place for them. We get to be the place where they come and get to smile and feel normal and have those experiences that, they may not get to get when they're in the hospitals, all the time. It's the best thing when they come and they walk in and they get to see all the friends that they've made through our programs and their faces just light up, or us doing some sort of activity that they don't get to do often, going to the zoo, something as simple as that, or right up the street from our office, we have a really cool splash pad. So sometimes in the summertime, we'll take our kids up to the splash pad and they just get to run around and play in the sun and play in the water and be with their friends and just be kids. Because, they don't really ever have to worry about our programs with them being free of cost. So getting to be that light in such a time of uncertainty and darkness is honestly the best thing.
Abby, can you share like a story of a family or individual that's like been directly impacted by your organization, and how it all came together as far as them getting connected with you, and how people go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When people ask me this story, there's always this question, there's always one story that comes to mind, and his name's Ethan. He was 7 when he was diagnosed with Burkitt lymphoma. So Burkitt lymphoma is a very quick growing type of cancer. So literally the day after he got his diagnosis, he had his port surgery. He started with chemotherapy and so many different other tests. I think they did a bunch of like bone marrow tests to test his bone density and all that kind of stuff. But with a fast type of cancer, the treatment plan is also going to be very tough, very quick, very fast. And to be expected with chemo, he suffered so many different side effects. He has this big curly black hair and he lost all of it. So that was definitely a defining moment for him. But also, dizziness, mouth sores that were so painful that he had to have a feeding tube and a morphine drip just to help cope with all that pain. But his mother shared with us something that we have at CCC is a program called Beads for Bravery. And that is a way for all of our kiddos to track their different steps throughout treatment. So each time they get a poke, they get a bead. Anytime they have an MRI, they get a bead. Anytime they get chemo, they get a bead. And a lot of them will put them on these strings. And sometimes if they collect enough and they mean a lot to them, sometimes when they're seniors in high school, they'll take their senior pictures with them. And it's a phenomenal way for them to just kind of look back at their journey and reflect and show themselves that like, hey, in those days that were super hard, look where I made it to now. So that's a really cool story. But so that really helped Ethan get through, some of those really hard days. But on the brighter side, Ethan completed his cancer treatment in July of 2020. So we're very
Awesome.
happy and excited to share that. And he has been in remission since. So always great to hear that. Since then, he's been back to his normal, noisy self, playing with his brothers, playing with his friends. And some of them he has met through our programs, which, like I touched on earlier, is just the most amazing thing to be able to give these kids those connections. And one of the things that meant the most to me were a couple quotes that both his mom and his dad had shared with us when telling us kind of everything that he was going through. So Camp Heart Connection, I haven't talked about this at all, but that's kind of what we're most well known for is Camp Heart Connection. And that encompasses all the different camps that we offer to our families. And that in 2021, obviously after the pandemic, was kind of like our first real coming back to, getting our kids back together. So it was scary for these kiddos who, are on treatment. They have weakened immune systems. It's probably very scary for their parents to send them off to, camps around other kids. But his dad shared with us that Camp Heart Connection in 2021 was kind of a family deal for them. Like I said, that they were cautious about going places during the pandemic due to his weakened immune system and all of that. But one of the first ventures that they kind of had outside of the hospital was family camp. And the best way that I can describe it is him just saying it truly was a blessing. Ethan got to connect with other kids. His parents got to connect with other caregivers of oncology patients. So just all around such a blessing that we're able to provide that for our families, not just as a way to unwind and relax, but kind of as a community. They can always rely on these other families and kiddos to reach out to. So that's just one story that I like to share, but there's so many more out there, and it just makes all the worthwhile to, be able to read these stories, hear them, but most importantly, get to see them with your eyes, how we impact our families on a daily basis when they're going through the darkest times of their lives.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing. It's powerful too, just to hear, firsthand accounts. And I'm sure you guys have story after story after story that, people have came back with, positive impacts. But talk a little bit about some of the partnerships you have, or maybe some of the hospitals and I'm more thinking of like, say, I have a child going through something like this. How do they get connected, to your guys' organization, and where
absolutely.
does it lead to that?
For sure. So CCC partners with Blank Children's Hospital here in Des Moines, and we also partner with U of I Stead Family Children's in Iowa City. And so at each of those hospitals, the moment that a child is diagnosed, they receive what is called a My Journey book. And that is something that we provide to them. And it's basically just a big binder with multiple different pages and ways for them to organize treatment, take notes. It includes a lot of resource information from the child's oncology group and a lot of info on CCC program details. So that's just one way that we kind of share, not share, I guess you could say, but like put our name into their minds when they first get those horrible words of your child has cancer. And, sometimes our families are like, it was a little overwhelming to receive that because you're getting all this news and you're like, what do I do with all of this? So it's just something that we like to provide to them when they feel comfortable, and if they need it to, like I said, organize their treatment notes, just kind of get a handle on what they're going through.
That was when the personal situation that I was talking about. That was the first thing they said, is they provided the book with all the all kinds, and they were one of the cases where the wife was very, researched and like looking into all kinds of stuff already. So it was very helpful for her. I think the male in this situation wasn't, didn't have as much an impact, but that was the very first thing that she said, is like they provided the book that you talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. We love being able to provide that to the families, like I said. But other thing that we do to kind of partner and maximize our impact to our families is something that we call our third-party events. And I touched on that a little bit earlier. They're held all over the state. They are events, businesses, groups. Sometimes even our families will host these events, and they just raise money on our behalf to help cover the cost of all of our programs. Because, like I said, they are completely free of charge to all of our families. So we do have, I would probably say, a handful that happen every single year. We work with IMT Des Moines Marathon. There's a big car show down in Des Moines every year called Concours de Elegance. We work with them every year. We're the charity of them. So those are, reoccurring, but, every now and then we'll have some just pop up and say, hey, we want to raise money, like you lovely folks over there at Full Swing. But yeah, we really heavily rely on fundraising, third party, all that kind of stuff.
Well, we are really excited to partner with you. Now I'm like even more excited just hearing Ethan's story, and I can't imagine all the other stories you have. And I think about the emotional hardship these families are going through, but also the financial hardship, and that you guys are able to be a place where they connect with people the same thing, they're going through the same thing, and just give them that light during such a dark period of time. So we're super excited to partner with you, and hopefully, we get lots of walkers and runners out there to support you guys. So if listeners want to support Cancer Connection of Iowa, how could they get involved?
Absolutely. So we have tons of different opportunities to volunteer for us. That's something that I would say is kind of where we're, hitting it hard with the state of, the world right now. Volunteers are very hard to come by. So we're really pushing heavily for volunteers. In the next couple of weeks, we have our spring day camp coming up. That's an opportunity where you can volunteer just one day out of the week, or, multiple days. But we also have other things like our biggest fundraising event called Camping the Night Away is coming up on May 9th. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. We need lots of volunteers to help set up for the event, be there the night of the event to just kind of direct people, help people with auction packages, things like that. But the best way to find any and all of our opportunities to support us are through our website, ccciowa.org. On there, there's a calendar where you can click through and find all of the different programs that we're offering to volunteer for. And on our webpage, we also have just our direct donation link where you can just click to donate. You can donate monthly, you can donate one time. It could be as little as $5. It can be as big as you want. Any and all go a very long way for our organization.
That's awesome. And we'll make sure to link all that in the notes. But Abby, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing all those Ethan's story. And we're just excited to support you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, you, Abby.
Thank you.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.
Let's do a little dollars and cents.
Dollar bills, y'all.
You've been missed, Kole. For
little
doing that.
upgrade from last time when Peter stepped in on that.
I think you guys should be like outlawed from doing that.
Oh, okay, we won't.
I won't do it because I sound like
Deal.
not. Yeah, I sound terrible doing it. So this week, it is again, like we said earlier, it's March 11th. Market's been crazy. So hopefully when this comes out, which is, later in March, the market's since rebounded and rallied back.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, it's been a rough.
Makes our job easier.
It's been a rough week, but I do want to, kind of circle back and really this week's dollars and cents can be focused on market volatility specifically. And, we really haven't had much for 2 years, and we all get kind of numb to the market going up, going up, and always thinking, hey, we're always rallying, and it's been pretty easy, I would say, the last 2 years. But I want to rewind things and put it back into context here of market pullbacks and the duration it generally takes, to get from a pullback to back to normal levels. And I'm going to basically pull some numbers from 1950 on. So I'm using the S&P 500 from 1950 to now. And let's start with a 5 to 10% pullback. We're a little bit beyond that at this point. The NASDAQ, I think, is down double digits. The S&P's right around 10% or so, bearing, I don't know what the market's
since
doing
the market highs.
Yeah, from the highs. So we're in this range. Historically, from 1950 to now, that happens on average about 3 times a year, somewhere between 5 and 10%. If you go the next step and go to 10 to 20%, it generally happens once every 1 to 2 years. So about every other year, 1.5, that happens, we get that. And that's, we're getting in that range. We have not had one, 2 years. We've been close. So we had already kind of broke the mold on that. We're in there right now. And then the final one is 20% plus. That happens about once every 6 years. So, think of, hey, this is not uncommon, right? It happens.
History.
It happens. And honestly, it happens quite frequently. And I want to put another number to these is the duration it generally takes to get back to highs or even kind of normal levels. Not always all-time highs, but on the 5%, 10% pullback, it generally takes about a month. So if we stay within that range, you don't go really beyond that 10%. Historically, you bounce back, pretty quickly. And that's one thing that, you're going to see commonality in this is it's that being in the market, not trying to time the market in and out. The 10 to 20% range, durations generally around 4 months. Like you kind of stay in that range. In general, you're back to some type of normal level.
Well, that even seems short to me.
That's what I thought too.
Down 20%, and he comes back within 4 to 5 months. That's
and I'm talking in that range, right? That 10 to 20% range.
Not all the time. Yeah.
And then 20% plus is the deep one. That's generally you're in more recessionary periods with the economy. So there's there's kind of two different ways where you just have kind of natural pullbacks in the market. There's maybe some type of catalyst that's short term causing it, versus recessionary could be generally a little bit longer period of time. That's about 14 months in duration. So if we get beyond 20%, generally we're having bigger things going on that's going to take a little bit of time, but 14 months does fly by. And I'll tell you, most of the returns happen on the way back up very quickly and very violently. So it's always like, when are those days you're gonna get those returns back? And then it's patience, right? We're in this like fear mode. You can see the market's
fear mongering.
Yep, the market's fearful. There's new news. There's a lot of things going on. New administration, but ultimately, things. If you look at a bigger picture, generally things they'll work out the way they should be. It's just a matter of, shutting the news off for a while and making sure, one, go back to your plan.
I was just going to say that. What would you tell someone? Because, these are the times you get the calls like, I'm scared. I don't want to lose everything. Should I sell everything? And we obviously don't want to sell when it's low, but what would you tell a client right now?
I just got a call yesterday from a gal that was, she's in her late 60s, early 70s. I can't remember exactly right now, but and she was like, I'm freaking out. What's going on? And I had to tell her, like, hey, just because you see the stock market is down 10%, that doesn't mean your accounts are down 10%. You don't have 100% stock market risk in your accounts. If I look at your account, it might be down 2 or 3%, where that's normal. I mean, we're going to see 2 or 3% declines in your account pretty frequently, right? But also we know that we're in the right risk category for you. So I think that's the biggest thing is someone that, our accounts are pretty much in the market. So we are down, 10 to 12% or whatever the pullback has been. But most people that are in retirement or retirement age are not down 10 to 12. They see it on the news and they think that their account is down. That your account is not the S&P 500.
It's one of those things of knowing what you own.
Yeah.
Right. Why you own it and knowing that, hey, if I own all stocks, I need to be comfortable
with the ride.
Knowing that, hey, historically we have 10% pullbacks.
This
very
happens.
common, right? And if you're not comfortable with that, it's not a good time to be making changes right now when you're, after the pullbacks happened, but you get back to normal levels or you get account value back. It's probably like, well, that made me super uncomfortable. I need to have a conversation of maybe looking to reallocate of how aggressive my investments are.
If you can't handle that, but don't do it now. Let's not reallocate while we're at a low.
And it is also comes back a lot of times to education of know what you own, right? Like that cliche of like, well, you don't own just the S&P 500. You have, CDs here. You have, fixed income, things that aren't correlated at all with the market. Right. And sometimes, it just takes those refreshing those conversations with clients. Like, it's okay. Take a deep breath. We'll be all right.
They're trying to scare you.
You're right how quickly people forget, though, because if we remember, 2022 was a bad year. It was down 10, 15%, depending on what index you looked at. And then 2020 didn't end up being a bad year, but that was COVID, obviously. And we saw a
34% drop in the S&P entry year.
I was going to say 23, so I was way off.
We ended up 16%, a 50% swing in the market.
And if you missed that swing, and if you sold out and you didn't ride that swing back up, think about that.
I have my fancy chart here, so I didn't pull that off.
I was like, where did you whip that out?
I have an intra-year decline chart of the S&P 500, and I always, when we have market volatility, I always go to this because I show people this, and I'm like, look how many down years. There's a down year every year since 1980. And there's some point.
But the market is down.
There's down
during
throughout
the year.
Yeah. So it's like, it's so common, and you look at that, you'd have never guessed on that year. That's a good year to bring up. We were down 34% in the S&P at one point that year.
Right.
COVID.
That was a wild time.
That was just a wild time in general.
Yes.
I remember there were like 3 days in a row where it went down 10% and went up 10% and then went down 10%, like 3 days in a row. Like everyone was like, what the heck is happening?
It was very, very wild.
Because if you guys know out there, a 1 to 2% swing in the market is big. 10% is like unheard of. And it was nuts.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Kole.
Yeah.
let's pivot here, because in the beginning we talked about our event and how we're gonna try and give, and now it's like we would like to discuss how can our clients give, the power of giving, the impact it has on your financial plan, and also just the impact it has on the purpose of your money. So what are some ways financial charitable donations can impact a client's plan?
So we discuss this with clients a lot. There's different ways that you can give. You can give tax efficiently. You can give tax inefficiently. You can give throughout your retirement, all throughout your career, however you want to do it. And then there's also people that want to gift money to their children. So I think, and understanding the gifting rules is also important. And I just saw the stat the other day. So the gift tax exclusion for 2025 is $19,000 from each person. So me and Molly are married. We can give $19,000 each of us to one of our children. So we can give them $38,000, which we're not doing, obviously.
I was like, that's so nice.
Very nice of you, Cole.
So we could give it to Baileigh. So we could give her each $19,000. Now, that doesn't mean that's all we can give her. We also can give her up to, I believe the amount is like $13 million in their lifetime. So you can go above that $19,000 as long as you're not going to hit the $13 million mark. So I can give Baileigh $100,000 if I want to. You don't have to pay taxes on it as long as you're staying under the lifetime limit. The
big reason people don't give generally above the limits is because if you give above 19 in any one year, you have to file an extra tax form, each the recipient. And so a lot of times people, will stay below those amounts so they don't have to do the extra tax administration. And then ultimately, the lifetime exclusion is what he's talking about, is like 13 million. Some change is like, the only way that really comes into play is if you are going to have an estate that's, $13 million.
Yes, there's someone out there
there are ones. We don't have a ton of those, in our direct area, but there are some people that own land and things where that does come into play. But it's, that's a very common way.
Yeah, so that's how to gift money to people. Okay, so now we'll talk about clients that want to give money to a church or give money to an organization like Children's Cancer Connection. You can give that money out of your banking account, and then you can write it off on your taxes. Now, if you use the standard tax deduction, with like 90% of Americans do, you don't get that write-off necessarily every time unless you go over the deduction limit, which is, for married filing joint is like $28,000. So you'd have to have a lot of deductions in order to go over that limit to actually get credit on your taxes. Another thing that people do is qualified charitable distributions out of their IRA. And it's a little bit different than just giving money out of your checking account, right? So you have this IRA, and you have to be over age 70 and a half to be able to do this, or have an inherited IRA. But you can send money to a charity that is a 501c, that it does nonprofit, directly out of your IRA. It has to go directly to them. It can't flow through your checking account. But if you send it directly to them, I think the limit, Cole, you can maybe, I think it's 110,000 this year, something like that.
Lot. Yeah. I don't know for sure, but it's a lot.
You can go up to 110,000, but you never pay taxes on that money at all. You get a tax record, but the taxable amount is zero because you gave it directly to a charity.
And we have a lot of clients that do that, where it comes out of their account, the check goes directly to the church, and it's a great.
And the main reason, I'll explain a little deeper into that is, say I am, let's use an example. I'm 75. I have a qualified money, and the IRS says, hey, my required minimum distribution for this year is $10,000. If I just take that $10,000, put it in my bank, right? I pay taxes on that $10,000, which I have to. The IRS says I have to. But the IRS also says, hey, Cole, you can give that $10,000 directly to church out of your IRA or whatever organization, and now you no longer have to pay the taxes on that money and don't claim it. That's why people do that. So, and a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people do what I just said. They take the $10,000, put it in their bank account, and then they go and write a check out of their bank account. You don't get the benefit then. So that's why we're talking about this. It's a very powerful tool, especially
to reduce tax liability.
Yeah, especially if you're still, why pay taxes
and
when you give the money?
If you're going to give it away anyway. That's what I talk to my clients about is, okay, are you donating right now? Most of them say yes. They give to a church or they give to some sort of, okay, why are you taking the R&D, putting it in your account, and then turning it around and giving it away. Let's just give it directly to them. And it makes sense for both sides. And the thing is, it doesn't cost the charity anything. There isn't any additional paperwork they have to file or anything like that. It's all done on our end. But we think it's the right thing to do, and it helps our clients reduce their taxable liability.
I'd also like to talk, I think another one kind of piggybacks on this is gifting stock and gifting like appreciated stock. This is another way I would say to reduce tax liability for yourself personally. Let's use an example of I'm giving $10,000 a year to the church. And we'll just keep that theme going there. This church is getting a lot of money from this group, right?
Well, so, that's awful nice of you, Cole.
Yeah. But tell
me how you did it.
Say I've owned Apple stock for a lot of years, and I have $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 capital gain in there. So, and if I wanted to gift out of that account and say I had to sell some of that Apple stock, I would have to pay capital gains tax on some of the gains, depending on the situation. But another alternative to that is I can actually take certain shares and I can select what shares of Apple that maybe I have a huge, very large gain. Maybe it's, I'm giving 10,000 and 8,000 of its gains. I can say, here you go, church. Take these shares, you get them put in your account, or we coordinate the transfer of the shares, and the church liquidates those shares, and they don't pay, because they're nonprofit, they don't pay any capital gains tax on those shares. They get the benefactor of the $10,000 in stock. You get, the charitable donation, plus you raise the cash in theory without having to pay the capital gain.
That's a great way to, I have not done that a lot with people, but that is something that definitely need to think about more with clients. Especially
with people that have larger non-qualified stock accounts, or stocks where they maybe got it from their parents, right? And they've just continued like a big base, they have a very large gain over years. You can do the same to gifting to children as well, but they do inherit. If you gift a stock with appreciated value, that person, if it's not a nonprofit, they get your basis. So someone's going to realize that gain.
Someone's got to get it. Someone's got to pay the.
But if it's a child that's not paying any taxes, they're not, they might not pay anything. So, so it's kind of a unique strategy, I would say. And it's something that, you should be talking to with your professionals that you work with.
And it's also things that you can do while you're still living. So I think a lot of people wait for that step-up basis when they pass away on stock and land and things like that. But this is something that you can do while you're still living and give some of your money away to an organization that you're already going to give away when you're going to pass away, but you could do it while you're living in a tax-efficient way for both you and the organization.
It is always powerful, I think, for people if they can give something while they're alive. A lot of times it does happen. The transfer of wealth happens so much after you're gone, and those people don't, unfortunately, a lot of times get a, see the, the good that transfer of wealth when it happens.
Another thing that you can do, Cole, that I know I have done this with one client, but is bunching donations. So obviously we have the standard deduction, right? And you can't really get past that. So if you're doing the standard deduction on your taxes and you give $10,000 to the church, you don't get any tax benefit of it. And that's not why you do it, of course, but we're trying to give you strategies.
We're always trying to optimize your plan.
Yeah, we're always trying to optimize your tax situation. So another thing that people can do is if they know they're going to give money to several organizations throughout, like, let's say the next 10 years, and they already have the money in an account, and they're ready to go, is that you can bunch those donations in 1 year. So if you do that, then you can get above that standard deduction limit and then actually get the tax deduction off it. So if you're going to go, 10,000 here, 20,000 here, 30,000 here, 20,000 here over the next 10 years, and you already have the money and you're like, okay, I could do that all right now, bunch them all into one tax year, and then you can get one tax write-off during that year that's above the standard deduction.
Generally, this happens. People are thinking about this when they had some type of liquidity event. Say they sold a business or sold a farm or inherited some type of asset, right? Or it's just sometimes they do. They've just had the money saved and they decide to pull the trigger. But that's where you're trying to maybe offset some other type of benefit. And you're like, hey, I would like to realize, a bigger deduction in this year for some specific reason. Plus, your organizations are then get, all your organizations get funded that you wanted to.
And obviously we're talking about the charitable donations and all this for the tax benefits, but it really goes beyond that. Like, I truly believe, just like our event we're doing, it's just this fulfillment and purpose you have when you give to causes that like align with your values. And I think it just changes your financial mindset from like, I have enough, I'm abundant, and I'm grateful for my money. And you just feel so good giving to causes that align with you.
I've really started to challenge clients too, when we're asking, hey, what especially when you know someone has, you know they're going to be okay. Like, what's the next kind of planning step? Like, where's all your money going to go? And sometimes it's family, kids right away, but there are times where I'm like, well, I don't want it all to go to family, and really challenge people to start thinking, if you feel like, hey, I'm going to have dollars left over and I want to make an impact outside of just your normal,
what matters
traditional. Start thinking about like who would benefit a lot from, being some type of beneficiary on my estate or my IRA, or, some type of shares of things that I own.
And you think about just what charitable donations create in a local community, or programs just like the one we're supporting, like the education that people need. There's just such a development and community that surrounds it. And it impacts so many people than just giving towards your kids.
I think a lot of people would be surprised how much, I sit on a couple foundation boards here locally, and where there's things that get funded that I never knew, but they're getting funded either from trusts from someone that passed away, then now it's an ongoing funding mechanism, or certain projects get funded because someone left that foundation as a beneficiary on their estate.
And you had this with one of your clients too, even going this far. You had a client that gifts money to their children, but and we obviously won't say the kind, but he makes the kids sit down with a financial advisor, and maybe you can go a little into that. This
was great. This was new, very powerful, like family dynamic of this individual actually was the grandkids. And we're not promoting cryptocurrency, but what he did one winter, this was kind of COVID, kind of a thing that happened during COVID. They pooled money. He said, here, all grandkids, I'm going to fund this and we're going to buy Bitcoin. And at any point, we're going to review it each year. You want to sell your share. It was like, say it was 1/10 because there was 10 grandkids. I don't know exactly. And he said, but if you ever want to sell your share, you have to move it into an investment, and you have to meet with someone like a financial advisor or someone that's higher educated, and that before you open the account and can move it. And I thought it was pretty powerful. One, he got him invested. He was more playing with the crypto. Like, he wanted to make it fun. He wanted to make it fun. Obviously, he's got the money to be able to do that and things there, which is powerful. But then I've actually since met with one of the grandchildren, and it was cool to see. Like, I kind of heard his side of it because I'd heard all the the funding individual side. So it's pretty powerful to like
the lasting impact though that he had for them to sit down with one person, and then you meet with someone that talks about donations and stuff. And I feel like too, maybe this isn't your situation. Maybe you're not in where you've accumulated and you feel like you can donate. You're like, wow, I'm time, and just donating your time, even like Abby talked about, like showing up to an event, organizing fundraising events, just like we're doing. We're taking the time to organize something that's going to give back. That impact that will have, the abundance you will feel from doing that. So if you don't feel like, hey, I can contribute or donate, your time is just as valuable.
So financially, if you can't do it, then obviously your time, like we've always said, that's our biggest resource, or our highest dollar resource. And most people that they would say that, but if you can donate time, those companies or those nonprofits can really appreciate it.
And I think just if you do have the financial means, there are smart giving strategies like we've talked about with the IRAs, contribution or distributions to charities, just making it an automatic part of your plan, or a percentage, or allocate like, this is how much I want of my money to go to these type of charitable events throughout the year, or churches, or whatever it may be. I feel like just sitting down with your financial advisor and optimizing strategically what makes the most sense for tax benefits, but also what aligns with you long term. So
yeah, I hope like people don't feel like we're trying to like get people out of paying taxes, but the IRS,
nobody likes taxes,
right? Nobody does, but the IRS and the government have these quote unquote loopholes to be able to do this, because they want that money to get into the right hands and to people that can really use it. So I hope people don't feel like that. We're not trying to create a loophole on our own. We're just using what the government has available to us.
It always all comes back to, and having the conversation, right? There's so many strategies. I think there's so many strategies that we're not going to, like, we could talk till we're blue in the face on different things that people could do. But it really, one, defining what purpose, causes you do want to get. Can I give, right? First, like that's where you got to build a give before you can get to the next step. But like, can I give? And then let's start drawing a plan around it and start, whether that's ongoing or at the end of, when you pass away, whatever it might be. I think you just, we challenge everyone to have the conversation.
And I think too, when you do have the means, you're like, if you look at it this way, like, oh, this is my money, I'm going to do whatever I want with it. Or do you look at like, this money is my responsibility, and this money is my responsibility to make an impact or to help my family or to make a lasting, long impact so my family feels secure, that we can help families that maybe are going through childhood cancer, or maybe help a youth program that's really trying to develop something to make a long impact in one kid's life. What if they end up loving golf, becoming the next Tiger Woods? You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like,
awesome.
These are little things that really will make a long lasting impact in your life and other people's life. So
well said.
Those are good strategies, but we're really excited about our event. So don't forget, register as soon as possible, online or by paper. If you do not like online, there's like a $2 processing fee. So I get that. That's me. I'd be like, I'm going to save the $2. I'm just kidding. But $5K for adults, $1K for children, walk or run, all levels welcome. This is not, the IMT. This is, you will be timed. We will have winners, but it's not for the elites of the elites. Everyone's welcome.
There are medals, but there are very few medals, and it's just for fun.
It's for fun.
It's for a great cause.
We want to move forward and give back.
Right.
We appreciate Abby's time. She was on earlier. So yeah, let's have a great 5K. Okay.
Let's do it.
Ready? Good, better, best. Never let it to the rest till your good is better and your better is the best. Tim Duncan.
Go Cubs.
You've been listening to How to Money with Kole and Kole, the podcast of Full Swing Financial Planning. To learn more, visit their website at www.fullswingfinancial.com and follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
For now, I'm Kole.
I'm Baileigh.
And I'm Kole.
And we'll see you on the greens. 4.
Security and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.